I'm going to do Andressa's intro. Really excited to have her up here. I'm going to bring her up while I read this. Having Andressa here from a native of Brazil, first came just over 10 years ago, 2008, PhD in cellular and molecular biology. Did you come here for your graduate work, Andressa?
No, I actually came for undergrad. So I moved.
Oh, cool.
Yes, I was 18 when I first moved here.
Amazing. And why Canada?
It's a great question. During the winter time, I really ask that question very hard. Well, especially in the summer.
Amazing. Yeah. I'm happy we have you on here in July. This is now the time to talk about it. And it was last year you and Ben created Synex Medical, which is super exciting. I know that you have. Do you have any dogs today, or is dogs a thing of the past?
I do, actually. One of them is right here, actually, with me in Toronto. I live in Peterborough, but I had to bring her with me. So I have 2 dogs.
Amazing. And tell us, what languages do you speak?
I speak Portuguese, which is my native language as a Brazilian. French, a little bit of Italian, Spanish, and English, of course.
Unbelievable. Cool. Well, I will leave you in the capable hands of Alex to bring us through the challenges of building a deep tech medical startup.
Look, super excited to have you on board. You're one of 2 co-founders, and we're going to talk about raising a bit right now, but I think it helps to have 2 young geniuses co-founding a company. So maybe start off by telling us what Synex is trying to accomplish.
Yeah, so Synex, we are building one of the world's first non-invasive ways of measuring your blood metabolites. And for those who don't know what blood metabolites are, a good example would be glucose for people that live with diabetes, or lactate for people that are big into sports. However, as you might know, especially for people that live with diabetes, they have to finger prick, which is just a pain. And even the new technology still involves a needle. So our goal is to get rid of the needles altogether and make healthcare proactive.
Excellent. And so you're relying on a couple of breakthroughs here. So just explain how long your vision is going to take to actually implement the first device and then get to market.
Yeah, so essentially, we are taking MRI technology and stripping it down to something to begin with will be something about this big. And we will have our first prototype ready. We're on schedule to have it ready by the end of 2020. Yes. And that's when we will start doing comparisons with clinical approved devices to see how accurate the quantification is. Because it's no good to have a device that it's non-invasive, but what if the readings are just not good? So we are going to invest at least the first half of 2021 to calibrate the device so that we can really have something accurate. Now, to go to market, we have a couple of different options. It's a good problem to have. We have an option to go to market with the larger device. However, our vision as a company is to have a wearable ring. So you can have measurements being done on a continuous basis. So go to market, I would say, is anywhere between 2 years to 4 years, depending on what form factor comes to market first.
So even before COVID and the pandemic, you had a long time to actually get to market. So how does this affect your fundraising in the current situation, and how do you get people, how do you get all the stakeholders excited about what you're doing and showing that you're making progress?
Yeah, luckily for us, we have a very awesome, I'm very biased, so take it with a grain of salt. We have a very awesome mission, which is to make healthcare proactive, and that has been since day one. And people, they buy that very easily and very quickly because everyone wants to make healthcare proactive. And a lot of people, they do share the goal of knowing or wanting to know what's happening in their body on a continuous basis. And then COVID hits, and everyone's like, oh, boy, can you do something like this? Can you make it less invasive? Can you make it able to detect viral infections? Can you get rid of drawing blood altogether? So those things, luckily for us, throughout an unfortunate situation, just propped us up. In Brazil, we have a saying that is, while some cry, others sell tissues. So for us, we've been selling a couple of tissues, which is great.
Yeah. So, again, you're selling tissues. How do you get interest remotely? Like, how have you been building your team? How have you been going about adjusting to this current situation?
Yeah, building the team is a very interesting one. So we actually hired the most in the last 3 months. So the team almost doubled in size in the last 3 months. And one of the people, the first time I saw them in person was today, actually. And it's interesting, luckily, of course, because of LinkedIn and because of video platforms, we were able to scour the internet, find amazing people. And again, our mission goes back to the mission. They were really excited about what we do. And it wasn't, fortunately for us, knock on wood, it wasn't that hard to hire these individuals because they're so smart, they're so awesome at what they do that they wanted to apply their awesomeness into an awesome mission. So that it was a match made in heaven.
So you got an awesome mission, we got awesome people.
Too good
but
to be
you're
true.
yeah, but you're trying to do something physical, right? And you have that prototype you're trying to shrink. So are you, I guess, looks like you're in your office. Are you at the point where you're trying to build this? And again, what I'm interested in is from an investor perspective, how are they monitoring progress?
So progress has been going amazing because so far, everything that we could do could be done remotely. Thank goodness there is shipping and that has been working well. But the reason why I am in our new office today is because we actually bumped up the moving date from September 1st to August 1st because it's time for the team to get together. Not everyone, but at least the electrical engineers and the mechanical engineer, so then we can physically build the prototype. However, it's still 2.5 weeks for August 1st, but I'm here because we want to make sure that people are healthy. We have masks, hand sanitizers, and procedures in place. So we're not compromising anyone's health for the sake of the technology. One, because we don't have to, because we're on track, but also because it's just not worth it.
And if you were talking to another founder trying to build a medical device right now, and they were going to go to market to raise, what advice would you give her?
I would say be patient. And also the lesson that we learned, I would say the hard way is to know your audience and do some research on the audience you want to attract first. Because unfortunately, at the very beginning, we did waste a little bit of time at the wrong audience. So although we're building a medical device, we're not going to have return of investments in 2 years. And some investors were expecting that. Just like, okay, wrong audience. So knowing your audience, it's critical, but it wasn't obvious enough for us at the beginning.
And I'm going to ask a Canadian question now. Is that audience in Canada or do you have to go to the States?
That audience was in Canada.
Okay.
And unfortunately, we did have to raise a chunk of our money in the US. But I did see that, especially after COVID, it seems that the Canadian investors are seeing how much awesome technology there is here and how much opportunity they're missing on with people going down south for fundraising.
And do you think you'd be able to attract money from down south right now? Like, do you think you could do it all by Zoom or Hopin or whatever video of your choice?
Maybe, I would say maybe, especially because of their situation, how bad it is currently. But our lead investor actually closed one of their rounds completely remotely. So it is possible. They closed, I think it was $350 million, and there was not one in-person meeting. So it's definitely possible. And it also helps because right now we are in a very fortunate situation that our network in the US and in Canada is very strong. So it's just about shaking those networking trees. And I'm sure that if we had to, we'll go down a path that would be mutually beneficial.
Cool. I'm going to take one question from the audience I just saw come up. Jason Das asks, you're currently focused on the blood metabolism. With COVID, are you starting on R&D on new verticals?
So that is a great question. We get that a lot. And the answer is no, because we need to focus. We want to ensure that we can do the blood metabolites. However, the technology as well, we would have to spend a little bit more time developing it to be able to go down to, let's say, viral activity and whatnot. So we are just focusing on blood metabolites. And then as research progress, if there is a blood metabolite that is an indicator for COVID-19, for example, we might be able to pick it up. But we're sticking to our focus, and then everything else is secondary.
And is there pressure right now to change, or like, because I think the market you're focusing on is huge.
Yeah, surprisingly, we didn't get a whole lot of pressure. I was thinking we would, but exactly because of what you said, people know we have awesome investors. And they all know that what we're doing, it's important, and it was important before and will continue to be important afterwards. So there's a very long journey ahead of us to be able to not only bring the product to markets, but also help people that need help or just help those that have been looking for technology like ours. So we are on a good path.
Then going back to technology, and so with many medical device startups, where there's the stage to get it to prove the technology, and there's the stage to actually market. So as you think ahead, what do you have to do once you prove the technology works to market it, and how does someone get there?
Yeah, and it's interesting because if you hear a snore, is my dog, by the way, just a disclaimer.
Okay. No, you don't have someone sleeping on the floor there.
No, not yet. So, but for us, we actually started working with a marketing consultant now, although our first prototype is not even ready. So essentially, what he does, he interviews people in the several different markets that we have identified, so experts in those markets, ask what price points that they would pay for, why would they use our technology. So just a series of questions. And we discuss, we ask, it evolves to other markets, but essentially we have our technology, we know what it can do, but now where we can market it is a whole other Pandora box. So having that data sooner rather than later is important because we'll definitely guide some of the engineering decisions that we have to make. So I would suggest to start the marketing process sooner rather than later, even before your MVP is ready, because that's what we're doing and it's already paying dividends, which is great.
Interesting. And how about regulatory approval? How do you handle that?
So that's a great question. Although we're not sure what market we're going to enter, so it might not need regulatory approval. However, we assume we will. So right now, we are under that assumption. So we make decisions assuming we're going to need regulatory approval. So we can put one device through the regulatory approval first, and then the second device can be a predicate for it. But it's definitely safer to just assume you'll need it because it's easier to drop it than start it later on.
Interesting. And so it sounds you're doing three things at once. You're building the technology, you're getting market data, and you're getting ready for basically regulatory approval. So how do you manage all three processes and make sure you're not over-investing or under-investing in any one of these?
Yeah, so essentially, that's a great question as well. Great questions to make, always. So we actually developed a new structure during the pandemic as well with our team, which called squads and domains. So domains are essentially the different areas of expertise within the company, but the squads they're self-forming. So we know projects need to happen, so people come together from different areas of the company and they make stuff happen. So it allows them to have a lot of autonomy, and whenever people have autonomy, they deliver, which is awesome. We do have a great support from our investor network, but also we just have a bunch of really hardworking people. Like we couldn't have asked for a better team, really.
Cool. I'm going to take some questions from the audience. Priyesh is asking, what gave investors the confidence to invest before an MVP?
At how unique the technology is, but the most important, I would say, was also we had a small safe round in 2019, and everything that we said we would do, we did. The terms were not as favorable for us at the beginning, but it's natural. But then it got way favorable, and then even more favorable, which is awesome. So definitely was worthwhile giving a little bit more of the company at the beginning, and really being super realistic about what we can and cannot do. So then we could deliver what we said we were going to do. And we continue to do that, which is critical, especially for such a complicated, technically complicated technology.
Next question there is from Rahim. Have you built up a large patent portfolio?
Yes, we're in the last 3 months, I would say that we filed for 2 provisionals. We had one already. We have 3 more on the pipeline. So we're definitely building that up. We licensed 3 other patents as well, which is very important for us to have that moat built around us. So we have and we will continue to do so. That's one of the reasons why we raise money.
Well, you're going to make Jim Bellies very proud. He always talks about how we don't get enough patents and they don't stay in Canada. So you have to be big in acquiring other medical tech companies eventually. Now, the last one before I let you go is from a tool. Where to start looking for investors? Because give us 1 or 2 points, because that could be a whole 2 hours right there. But
Yes. For us, I would say that it was definitely through our networks, but not only going for people that and they're very close to your circle. Go outside of your comfort zone. Ask people that you haven't seen in some time, because the issue is that people that you know, they know the same people as you. But whenever you reach out to people that you haven't seen in some time, go through your LinkedIn, connect with people, just spam people. We did that. And it turned out well. That's actually a cold email. That's how we got Naval Ravikant, which is great.
yeah, I know that Ben loves sharing that story, and it's a great story. And I think he was encouraged by another TKS grad to do it.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah. So maybe we'll get Ben on to tell that story. I think people will be fascinated to hear that. But Andressa, thank you so much. I think lots of wisdom was shared, and you're building a massive company in a hard to build space. So we appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, Alex.